Hi, Jeremy Crow here. In this video, I wanted to share a few insights that I gained over the course of about 3 or 4 weeks of doing intermittent fasting and eating a ketogenic diet. Now, just to be completely clear here, I didn't strive for purity on the ketogenic and intermittent fasting diet. Most days I did maintain my discipline, but there were a few days here and there where I, had some carbs or more carbs than would normally be allowed on a ketogenic diet, on a strict ketogenic diet. There were a couple days that I didn't do the fasting, but probably at least, I would say at least like 93% to 92%, like conformity to the to the regimen that I decided upon. So basically, what I learned, some tips that I learned to help you do this. Well, first of all, I just want to let you know that I actually lost about, about 8 pounds during the 3 weeks. So I didn't weigh myself after the fourth week yet. So I'm not too sure, but the first 3 weeks were the ones that were the most disciplined anyway. So I actually lost a pound the first week. I lost 6 pounds the second week, and then the third week I lost 1 pound again. So it was kind of interesting to see that, progression. The first week it didn't really lose that much, and I think it's partly because I had never done it before, and therefore my body wasn't keto adapted or fat adapted, as some people say. My body wasn't used to being able to switch into fat burning mode in order to tap into those fat reserves when it wasn't getting the fuel it needed. So there is a period of time, that first week especially is the most difficult. Luckily, I had a situation where my family, my wife and son, had gone away to visit family for 3 weeks. And so those 3 weeks I decided would be the ideal time to try out this intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet. So that was definitely made it a lot easier because I didn't have to worry about other people that I had to, feed or share meals with or anything like that. I just had to worry about what I was eating, and that's it. So that definitely made a difference. That definitely made it a lot easier to adhere to the regimen. I found that since my wife and son have come back, it has definitely been a lot more difficult to maintain, simply because, like I said, sometimes I'm making meals for my son or my wife and son. Sometimes she's making us meals, and we've done what we could to try and adapt and everything, but it is nice to have meals with your family and share in that. So it is definitely a more difficult thing if you're doing this if you're living with people and sharing meals with people that aren't doing this as well. So that's definitely one thing that I found. But you know what? After the 3 weeks of doing it on my own, I definitely felt that it was something that I had developed a certain momentum for. So that definitely helped once they came back for me to continue doing the diet. There is a hormone, I think it's called ghrelin, and it signals to your body to prepare for food in expectation of food, depending on the pattern of eating that you have established. So if you generally eat 3 meals a day, let's say morning, noon, and night, for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just before you would normally have those 3 meals, that ghrelin is going to kick in and it's going to create that hunger, and your body's going to start preparing for a meal. Now, once you change that pattern, it takes a bit of time for you to stop having that hunger in anticipation of a meal. So, for example, if you're skipping breakfast, when you wake up in the morning, there'll be a point where you'll get a massive pain or a massive pang of hunger. What I found is that it can be very, very intense in terms of compelling you to try and eat. A lot of people will find themselves obsessed, just completely obsessed with food during a period of time while they're feeling the hunger, essentially, and they'll find it almost impossible to resist. Now, one thing that I found that definitely helps is that if you go roughly about 20 minutes, if you endure for about 20 minutes, generally it goes away. It realizes that that the meal isn't gonna happen, and the ghrelin goes away, and the hormone that causes the hunger isn't impacting you like it was. Over time, your body will start to realize that you don't have breakfast anymore, and you won't get that hunger pain, or it'll be diminished. It won't be as intense when you do experience it. And if you have, if you've changed your pattern of meals, that pattern of hunger in anticipation will change as well. So that's something that you can use as a motivation to get you through that intense hunger, because it's going to go away in roughly about 15 to 20 minutes. Definitely not half an hour. I've never felt it for an entire half an hour. I think the most I've ever felt it, that really strong hunger, was maybe about 20 minutes, and then it goes away. And now, one thing that I have found is that sometimes it's just really, really hard to get through that, even just to get through that 20 minutes. But what I've done is I have used some aids to help me, some assistance. What has helped me get through those moments are a few different things that I use just on different occasions, just whatever happens to be convenient for me at the time. I have these medicinal mushroom capsules from Paul Stamets. The line that I have is called Host Defense, and the one that I have is 17 medicinal mushroom blend. And they say to take 2. But generally what I'll do is, if I'm having that really strong hunger, I'll just pop one and swallow it. There's 0 calories in it. But somehow it helps. It actually helps me get through that 20 minutes, that really intense point that you're trying to get through when you're adapting. Another thing that I've taken in those moments is a capsule of branched chain amino acids, BCAAs. It's not a very strong one. I think it also suggests you take 2, and I just take 1 when I'm feeling that intense hunger. And sometimes I've taken that actually during the fast, partway through, when I'm 10 hours into the fast. Maybe I'll take a branched chain amino acid, and that I find supposedly that helps prevent the breakdown of muscle tissue while you're fasting. Also, your body will naturally release growth hormone when you're fasting, and that as well will help prevent the breakdown of muscle tissue. But I found that taking a small dose of branched chain amino acids during the fast will help me get through it a little easier. It'll help ease that a little bit. Another thing that I found definitely helps huge, is to stay well hydrated and to maintain your electrolytes. Now, most people are already potassium deficient chronically. Most people don't get enough potassium in a day, every single day. And when you're fasting and when you're on a ketogenic diet, you actually need a higher level of electrolytes, including potassium and sodium, than you normally would if you're not fasting and doing a ketogenic diet. So this increases the amount of electrolytes that you need, even on top of the regular amount. So I have this 0-calorie electrolyte powder that I got from Vega brand. They're kind of expensive, I guess. They're like one pouch is roughly about $1. And but I only have like maybe one a day. And usually what I'll do is I'll put like half a pouch in about a liter of water. I guess a liter for Americans is, I guess it's like about 4 cups. And so then I'll do like roughly about 2 liters, and I'll put a half a pouch of that Vega electrolyte powder. The first ingredient is potassium in that powder. And then it also has calcium and magnesium and a bit of sodium and a couple other things like that, and some trace minerals. And that I found has been huge in helping me get through the fast in terms of making me not feel as hungry, maintaining my hydration level, which also makes me feel better and allows me to not feel miserable during it. And the electrolytes help prevent the side effects of adapting to ketosis. So during that adaptation phase especially, you're going to have less negative symptoms from that adaptation phase if you make sure that your electrolytes are good and that you are well hydrated. Another thing that I've got is this greens, a super greens powder supplement, and the one that I have is an organic greens that has turmeric in it as well. That they've also included turmeric. So what I'll do is actually sometimes I'll add that as well to the electrolyte mix, to the electrolyte water, and I'll just even do like a half or even a quarter of about a quarter of a teaspoon actually per liter. It recommends a lot more than that, but I found that it's just really thick and it's not appetizing to have that amount of it. But I do like a little bit in there, so I put like about a quarter of a teaspoon in the water, in a liter of water, and the electrolyte powder as well. So it tastes pretty good. It actually has a nice, to me, the little bit of greens plus the electrolyte powder tastes good to me. And it also helps me to drink more water than just plain unflavored water. So those are the main tips. Make sure, another thing that I do actually is when I do have a meal, I'll take calcium, magnesium. It's a very small dose actually. Calcium, magnesium. It's a ratio of 1-to-1. That's a good ratio for calcium, magnesium. Take that, and I take vitamin K2, and I take a bunch of vitamin D. So that is kind of like a mini stack that I'll take with a meal, especially a meal that has a lot of oil in it, because a lot of these are oil-soluble vitamins. And that helps as well. The K2 and the D3 are very important to get that calcium and magnesium into the blood and from the blood into the bones. Because if you don't have all of those factors, if you don't have the K2 and the D3, you may not absorb it into your blood in the first place. And if you do absorb it into the blood, it might not get into the bones, and it might just end up in the tissues of your body and start forming calcium deposits or mineral deposits. And you don't want that. That is not good for you. Those are the main tips that I have for you. I've definitely found that it is a beneficial thing for body composition, for controlling your body composition, to lower your fat percentage, your body fat percentage, while still maintaining your muscle mass. This is good for a cutting phase of if you're doing bulk and cut. This is really good for the cut. You might want to increase the amount of carbs you intake while you're doing a bulk phase, because you do get, there are some exceptions, and maybe some people have figured out how to make it work, but generally, if you're doing intermittent fasting and a very, very, very low carb ketogenic diet, generally you are going to experience some sort of performance degradation or loss of performance. So you won't be able to lift as much weight, or you won't have as much endurance or things like that. Now, there are some elite athletes who have made it work for them, but generally, for most people, if you're on a ketogenic diet and doing intermittent fasting at the same time, you're gonna have a performance decrease. So that's something you should take into consideration. If you're trying to increase your muscle mass, you're probably going to want to increase the amount of carbs you intake in a day during that phase. So I think those are the main tips that I have for you. These are the lessons that I learned through actually experiencing it myself. I probably could have gotten better results if I had been a bit more strict, but part of how I treat diets and things like that, in the past I have gone a little overboard when I was vegetarian and I became vegan for a while, and I found myself just obsessing. I found myself just obsessing over what I was putting into my body and trying to be pure and things like that. And it's not good to get into that mindset. It takes over your life. And so I tried, ever since that was years and years ago. Ever since then, I've always made sure not to get too intense about a diet or meal or eating pattern, and to not try and get into these purity spirals, but just to kind of take it easy, experience it, and if I happen to go off it a little bit here and there, not to beat myself up about it. It's part of life. It's part of enjoying the experience of life. And so that's my approach, and I am very pleased with the results I got. I did lower my body fat content, and I'm happy about that. And I don't feel like I lost, I don't feel like I lost any muscle mass. It's hard to tell. I didn't use calipers, it's just subjective experience and the raw weight. I didn't check my measurements. I didn't measure my gut or my bicep or anything like that. I should have, but that's how it goes. So those are the lessons that I learned. I hope you are able to benefit from that experience that I had and the knowledge that I gained during it. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel or follow my channel, and you'll get more videos like this. I also do videos on more occult and esoteric subjects, and I also do stuff on cryptocurrency. So those are the three main topics that I generally talk about: is health and longevity, big like cryptocurrencies mainly, and other forms of interesting technology, and esotericism and the occult in particular, especially focused on the left-hand path in terms of focus. So if you like that kind of stuff, follow my channel and subscribe, and I try and put out a new video every week. So I'll see you next week.